Welcome to Thriving Tribesmen podcast. My name is Kuri, your host, and I'm excited to be making this episode. So today I'm going to be talking about a client's win. And when I say client's win, I think we've had to redefine what a win is within the reignited men. I think initially, like this client, he went through the same process where within 2 weeks, he managed to have sex. But I started really realizing that the actual win is being able to build onto something that is going to be forever. So once you get how to get those buttons going, you can do this for the rest of your life. It's not a flash in the pan. It's not some sort of trick that works and then sort of goes away. We want long-term change. So in terms of redefining that, we started thinking, what are the metrics to show that we're going in the right direction? Because if you measure it on sex, then it will feel like you're not making progress. So we've had to restructure that. And I think when I say this to people, it comes across a little bit off-putting because everybody wants to sort of have, I want to have sex, and then once we have sex, then it just continues forever. But if you think about it, in order to, for the reason why you've got into a sexless relationship is because there's been a series of behaviors and it's happened over time. And in order to change it, there's going to be a lot of changing within the person and changing within you. And that takes a lot of time. And it's for you to, while you're both changing, you still also have to reestablish new boundaries, new ways of, new habits, new ways of understanding, and new ways of making sex comfortable. So there's so many things that are needing to change in order to make it a long-term change. So we have had to redefine that. And one of the things that is very important in order to change it for long-term change is to what we've now coined poking the bear. So, and when I saw, I'll try to explain what that is. So, with this client who I think has been absolutely incredible in terms, since he's joined Reignited Men, he's just been running. And like I said, since joining, within 2 weeks, they had sex. But also, instead of realizing that there is some challenges to it. So even though he's had sex, in order to get long-term change, there's so many other things that you have to factor into the relationship. And one of this was leadership. And while he was good at leading at some points, there were some points where you would sort of relinquish his power in order to keep happy life type thing, or sometimes just to be the one that sort of gives space, or maybe hopefully if I don't appease the beast kind of thing. So if I appease her, then I'll get a chance to have sex. So all of that wasn't working before, but then he had to start reestablishing boundaries. And by reestablishing boundaries, it showed dominance, it showed power, it gave him that opportunity to actually guide the family and for her to see him as a leader. So he was telling me about a story that when they went away on holiday, they were in the place where they were quite active, and they were on a bike ride. And while his wife, she was riding somewhere within the pack, he was riding at the back so he could make sure that the children were safe. And while they were riding the bike, his wife's phone, was in one of the I think a basket of the bike. It popped and then fell onto the ground. So as it fell on the ground, the phone smashed. So she was quite frustrated with the whole thing. And one of the children, being children, laughed about it or said something smart about it. And it was a little bit funny. But obviously the wife didn't find it funny. She was very frustrated. So she started having a go with the child. Now, I need to stop here and say this. Then she's responded like any of us have responded. All of us as parents, we sometimes get frustrated with our children and we have a go at them. And sometimes it's just one of those things where you say something and then you regret it. I wish I didn't say that to my child. And the weird part about it is that we all do this. And whenever we see from outside looking in, we judge and then make it seem like we're better parents. And I know it's just a human thing, but I can see where she was coming from. She was frustrated and she just wanted to get her frustration out. Now, in this case, she was taking the frustration out on the child. And most cases, most guys would look at this situation and not intervene because they think, okay, I don't want this anger to be directed towards me, so I'll just let it play out the way it plays out. Now, there's two things that are happening here. One, she's causing damage to a child, and I'm not. Again, we've all done this, so I'm not saying she's a bad parent. Don't get me wrong. We've all done this. We've all said something, but at the same time, when you're watching this unfold, your child is at the receiving end of this. And what usually happens is that your child is very dependent on you, and because they're dependent on you, they will withstand and take in whatever aggression that you send towards them. And they've got no choice because they're also tied in with unconditional love. And also the other bit that they're dependent on you for survival. So they will take all of that, and they will take it even if you make them feel helpless. And generally they will feel helpless if this incident is going on and the other parent is watching. So I'm making a pause so that you can sink in. So in this case, this guy was an absolute legend. He stepped in and said, you know what, yes, the phone is broken. Yes, it's frustrating, but you should not be going into the child the way you are right now. And he made such a stand that she realized that she was doing something wrong. And equally as important, the child felt like somebody stood in to protect the child, protect the child. And that was empowering for the child and also empowering for his partner. Because then she stopped herself from really causing harm to the child. Now, just look at this, how this dynamic over a period of time builds trust in the leadership. And this is why it's so important that when you are looking at the metrics of success in terms of changing from sexless to sexual success, you have to start reconsidering other wins. And this was a massive win. For me, it's probably the biggest win because it's one of those, like in one fell swoop, you do something absolutely incredible. And that was one move that did so many things for long-term future. And for his child at that point, she felt like I got a parent who can protect me. And for the rest of her the life, again, builds trust amongst men, builds trust amongst people, and she will not carry the burden of feeling helpless. So powerful. So I'd like you guys to think about this. And where are the times when you've seen injustice happening? And again, when I say injustice, I'm not saying your partner is a bad parent or anything like that. We all have failed. I fail all the time. I still fail. Even with the stuff that I know, I still fail my children. I'm a lot better now because I'm a bit conscious of other things, but we all fail. So don't judge, please. I'm saying this story so we can start getting to understand and really establish those metrics on how do we measure success in order to, to see that we're going in the right direction to get to sexual success. And this is one of the things that I think you have to start looking at. And these are the things that will make you change things for long-term success. Because I think there's a lot of information out there that is just too quick fix. So take it for a dinner date. I mean, come on. If you took a dinner date to change a sexless relationship, none of us would have a sexless relationship. That's why it absolutely pisses me off when I see this information. Oh, you need to be a bit more intimate. If we're all trying to be more intimate, there's other things that are necessary in order for that to happen. So you can see I'm getting a bit riled up about it because I just saw somebody saying it on Facebook the other day, and I thought, oh God, another one. So there is something else that needs to happen, and this is one of the things that need to happen. You have to be seeing these situations and really putting your dominance, putting your leadership, really allowing yourself to poke the bear. Because that's one of the things that we talked about when we were talking about the story, when I was speaking to my client, is that he was willing to go for another 6 months with no sex by protecting his child. And you have to be willing to do so. And when you can do so, you show leadership, you show dominance, but at the same time, she will respect you for it because you've protected her from really causing harm to the child, one, but at the same time, you've protected the child, which is massive in terms of her development and upbringing and, so on and so forth. And I'm saying her because it was his daughter, but it could be your son as well. It could be a child, any of your children. And again, it doesn't even matter which part of especially when they're quite younger, it's more important. But even if they're a little bit older, it's still the same. So it's been longer than I wanted it to be, this episode, but it's got so many important things that you can think about in terms of sexual success and what that looks like long term. And when you think about it, what are the necessary things that you need to be doing? And this is one of them. Now, if you want to learn more about this, we're offering free strategy session. Now, when I say free, most people think it's some sort of consultation where we're going to try and sell you high pressure styles. That's not what it is. We're giving you an opportunity to come. We talk about your family. We talk about what's going on in terms of your sexless relationship. We talk about your wife. We talk about the things that have led to being sexless. And as we look through what's going on, we then go over into strategies on how to start changing it. We'll then give you a game plan. This is what you need to do for the next week. And then after a week, we'll review how you got on. And at that point, that's when we'll give you an opportunity to join. Again, no high pressure sales. Again, it's going to depend on how you get on. You might think it's complete rubbish and not want to come back, which is completely fine. Or you might think, okay, this is absolutely impactful. And it's almost like Netflix. You get to test out the product before you actually have an opportunity to buy. So, and again, you have to qualify to get in. So you might not even be asked to get joined. So it's a win-win. And I thought this is a good indicator for you to see the stuff that we're doing, that we're really working on getting long-term change. And I'll finish off with this. One of the things that I did ask the guy, and I was asking him, it's not going to take him 2 years, but I said, if it took you 2 years of eating shit and just really going through this process where you're poking the bear and having to do this, and you know that you have to suffer for the next 2 years, but then after those 2 years, everything was amazing. You knew how to have sex continuously and you had high frequency, and she showed you respect, she wanted you, everything that you want, you had it. Would you go through it? He said, I would go for 6. Even 7 years, because he understands the value of the long term. So I think most people look at the short term and think, oh, I need to get sex right now, and it needs to be consistently right now. But like I said, you have to start restructuring. In order to get long-term success, you have to actually restructure and see it from a different perspective. And I love this guy. He sees it from that different perspective, and he's willing to put himself out there to do this. So he knows who he is. He's probably going to listen to this episode, and I respect you. I love you as a brother, and it's absolutely incredible. So thank you very much for listening, guys. Take care.